Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Mindys Best. I'm so excited to have you here with me. Okay, you guys, we are starting out brand new, fresh year 2021 and we are a week into January. How's it going? Have you guys made any goals yet? Because I have been working on my goals. I've started them, I've made them, and I feel like the word goals can be so overwhelming. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it a little bit today because I feel like sometimes the idea of creating all of these massive goals can feel overwhelming, stressful, and eventually lead to disappointment in yourself. So I was like, how can we make this a little bit more fun and make this something that we can actually reach and attain and feel good about? So I have a few tips for you guys that I want to share about goals today. Beginning of January, you've had a full week into the month, into the year. Take a deep breath, you can do this. So first of all, you need to kind of look at your life and look at the desires that you have and decide what are your goals, what are your ambitions, what things do you want to conquer, what things do you want to tackle. Some goals might seem too big and you know what, you go, I don't want to be stressed out about it, I'm just not going to do that right now. That's okay. Some goals can be as simple and easy as like, I'm going to wear real pants instead of pajamas every day. Or even 3 times a week. You have to make your goals something that you can actually reach. I think that's been the biggest problem for me in years past is I've made goals that are so big, there's no way I can conquer them. I was doing a little bit of research on the internet and I came up with a couple of things that I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Research, that's one thing that should be one of my goals is making sure I do the proper amount of research because sometimes I don't. But this time I was like, you know what? I wanna give valuable information that I know is gonna be good. So I went to the internet, because you know everything on the internet's true, but I did find some stuff that just resonated with me so much and I'm so excited about it. So sometimes when we think about goals, we're like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna stay motivated through it? So with goals, it gives you a long-term vision with short-term motivation. You know, sometimes we go, okay, I have this idea in my head, but how am I gonna stay motivated to do it? So that's why we have this goal, like maybe a year in the making, but if we're very specific about it and we give ourselves little stepping stones, we can get that motivation dialed in. Okay, so this last weekend, we sat down with our kids and we were like, let's make some goals. I found these really awesome goal sheets online. These are my goals, I'll share them with you. And we handed a worksheet out to each one of our kids. There's different areas, spiritual, physical, intellectual, and social. Your goal sheet can look like whatever you want it to be. It just depends on what phase of life you're in. There are times when like academic, I don't really have a need for like an academic school-wise, but I can also translate to be like, maybe this year I want to learn about something new that I don't know. You're a new mom, that's gonna look different from a college student, or if you're like an 8-year-old like my son. It was really amazing to see the motivation and the things that my kids want to conquer this year, and it gave me the motivation to be able to help them. So I filled out my goal sheet, spiritual, physical, intellectual, and social. Setting 3 goals for every category can feel overwhelming, but I did some research and I found online the way to do SMART goals, and SMART stands for something. I have never known this and a lot of you have probably seen this online or something. I never have. Okay, so SMART stands for something. It's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay, so let's start with specific. Instead of me saying, and I made this mistake last year, I know this is the mistake I made last year. I want to run a half marathon this year. Okay, well, there's no end date to that other than like obviously the end of the year. So instead of saying, I want to run a half marathon this year, I should say, I want to run a marathon by June 30th, 2021. That way I know I can sign up for a marathon or a half marathon in June, know that I'm going to conquer that goal, and then it's going to be done. There is an end date to it. You have to be specific with yourself. Also, measurable or meaningful. It has to mean something to you. It has to be something that is in your heart. When creating a goal, don't use your friend's goals. Don't try to attain the same things that your friend is getting or working towards. Try to do something that is meaningful to you and that also you can reach. It's very important. Okay, so attainable. This has to be something that can actually be reached. Like I said, the thought of me doing a half marathon this year, I know that I could do it. And I mean, anyone can work towards something really hard. You have an entire year. But with me, I know I've been already kind of training for it a little bit. It's reachable. If I were to say, I don't know, I want to do 3 Ironmans this year or something like that, something really hard, I probably could do it, but I also don't want to make this something that I'm going to be miserable trying to attain. It has to be something that is definitely within my reach. Otherwise, I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure. Okay, and relevant or rewarding. Those can kind of go hand in hand. This is, again, for me, feels like Don't try to work towards something that's not you. Stay true to who you are because you are amazing. But if you want to do something that, for me, it's Mindy. It's not like all of a sudden I'm gonna take up something that doesn't even have anything to do with me. There are opportunities for us to learn new things and try new things, but make it relevant to you and who you are to the core. And the last one is trackable or time-bound, however we wanna look at that. But I feel like, again, it has to have something that has an end date. So for me, the half marathon, knowing that there's an end date, let's say June 30th. Since I threw that out, I feel like I'm kind of committing to that. So I'm gonna make you guys hold me to it. So June 30th, 2021, I want to have run a half marathon. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna make it happen. But there is a timestamp on it. It's attainable because I've put a timestamp on it. So see how all of these work together? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. This can work. There just might be a little bit of a thought process that goes into it instead of just grabbing a piece of paper, scribbling tons of stuff down. And that might even be a good place to start. Scribble a bunch of things down and then look at it and really look at your life and see how they apply to you and how you want to make them work into your lifestyle. This can happen. Okay, so I went ahead, I'm using this gratitude journal because that's actually something that's actually one of my goals is to write in a gratitude journal more. So I wrote down a couple of things on my paper. Those were more just scribbling. And as I went through and added in my actual goals, I was a little bit more specific with them. Should I tell you guys what I'm doing? Okay, here we go. Actually, pause. I'm gonna tell you that in just a minute. There's a couple of things I do wanna say about making goals that are kind of like the way that they need to happen. There's a positive and a negative way that we can create our goals. Instead of saying, say you're talking about cakes, you like to bake cakes and you wanna learn a few new techniques. Say, I'm going to learn a much more faster, efficient way to frost the cake instead of like, stop making stupid mistakes. Using the positive things to talk to ourselves is way better for our brain than saying the negative things instead of, I'm gonna stop doing this dumb thing, I'm gonna stop doing this stupid thing. Talk kindly to yourself. That goes a very long way when it comes to creating your goals and actually achieving them. Okay, we also talked about this one a little bit, but be precise. Whenever you're creating your goals, like the marathon one, I literally worked through that as we've been talking through this, but I had on my little scratch piece of paper right here to just run a half marathon this year. As I wrote it down in more detail, run a half marathon by June 30th. I'm a little stressed about it, but I know it's attainable because I've already been working towards it. And also setting priorities. I have here 12 goals that I want to work on. Prioritize the ones within each category that, I don't want to say easier because you want to set such easy goals, but ones that are definitely attainable, ones that you're not going to stress yourself out over. Some of them are going to fall into your daily routine, and that is awesome. Those are easier to attain than the bigger ones. I think it is super important when you're starting to create your goals that you allow yourself some time to sit down and have some time with you. There are different categories in which you can make your goals. One is gonna be personal, one you might make with your spouse, and one you might make as your family. And it can feel overwhelming, but I promise you, if you take the time to do things that are actually achievable and reachable, you're going to be so much happier. There was one year, my goal was to write every check I wrote in my check register. Remember when we used to write checks? Yeah, that makes me feel super old. I did it as a teenager and I was like, I wanna keep better track of my money, so I am going to write every single check in my check register. Guess what? I did it. I was able to stick to that goal 100% because it was pretty simple, but made a huge impact because I constantly knew where my finances were. The goals that you can work on every single day. I put bananas out here because that's working on your diet. That is so important. Right now, I am working on my diet a little bit, trying to dial in the treat intake because it's been a little out of control. That is one of mine. I am working on intermittent fasting. I did it last summer. I loved it. It was great for me. And as well as I'm also trying to eat better. Gratitude journal, you know, is one. I even have I did bring my phone out I have some notes on it, but also being able to post more and create more of a journal on my personal Instagram to be able to look back on the memories that we're making. I know that our entire lives are videoed, but there are some moments that I don't put out for the whole world to see. They're on my personal journals. And so for me, I want to remember those and write down those feelings and thoughts more. If your goal is to have a green thumb and make sure your plants don't die, that is very easy attainable. Do the research on exactly how to keep your plants alive, how much water they need, how much sunlight they need. There is a little bit of research that goes with a lot of goals. So make sure you're doing your research and you're creating goals that are gonna be good for you. Okay, so one thought you're having, if you've never been a real big goal keeper, why do we set goals? There's things we want to learn. And for me, I have so much more self-confidence knowing that I created a goal and I was able to accomplish it. A lot of this is creating self-confidence, talking nicely to yourself, putting in those positive vibes. You're never gonna be able to accomplish a goal if you keep telling yourself you can't do it. Use the I can method. I can do this. When I'm running and I am really struggling, I have audibly, out loud, said as I'm running on a trail, I can do this. I can do hard things. Mindy, you can do this. Keep going forward. Instead of, I can't do this. This is so hard. I'm out of shape. I'm overweight. Whatever the thoughts are that you're gonna have in your head, don't say the negative ones. They do not have a place in your mind. Only bring out the positive ones, because ultimately getting you there is going to be the positive talk. I can do this. I'm going to crush this. You are smart. You are strong. You are powerful. Positive affirmations go so far. I've learned that recently over this last year and a half of running. Telling myself I constantly can't do it gets in my head, makes me run slower, makes me feel more out of breath, makes me feel bad about myself. When I tell myself, Mindy, you can do this, it pushes me that much further. We're gonna talk kindly to ourselves. And if that is one thing that you struggle with, have that be your goal. I'm going to say positive affirmations every day. And if you really struggle, do it 3 times a day. I don't even care how much you have to do it, so that you get ingrained that you are awesome, that you are worth it, that you are brave, you are smart, you are strong. Whatever it is, put it into your head. Put it into the universe, and it will come back to you. All right, goals. We're gonna crush them, right? We are gonna do this because we are going to use positive words, make it happen. I know 2020 was a really rough year for a lot of us. Some harder than others, but 2021 is a new year, new possibilities, new opportunities, and amazing things can come from it. So let's work hard at trying to make this really awesome. I would love to know down below in the comments what your guys' goals are. I'm sure some of them are too personal to share. I do have my own personal ones that I'm not sharing, but whatever they are, I hope that they speak to your heart, that it's something to better you. If it's to give more service, your friends whenever they need them, whatever it is, I hope that you guys really find a place in your heart for your goals, because I feel like it's just a way for us to better ourselves and be accountable to ourselves. I'm really looking forward to the goals that I have set for this year, and really a way to better me. I feel like with 2020, when it came, we set out, oh my gosh, we're gonna be in quarantine. This is so many opportunities to do so many things. I set myself up for failure because I had so many things I wanted to do, and guess what? I didn't even do a half of them because I set up way too many. But this year, I've got them in stone. I'm very excited about them. I am very optimistic for this new year, for amazing possibilities that are gonna come. I'm here as a support to you guys on my Instagram, @MindysBest. I try to post positive things that help me get through and relate it to everyday life. Usually it comes from me going to the gym. I feel like I'm able to clear my head there. It's a great place for me to just work on my mental health. And so I usually come home from the gym and I'll share a thought or two that I've had, or if I go out for a run, I'll come in and say, oh my gosh, this hill that I ran totally applied to life and how hard it can be. But I know that doing this will make us so happy that we worked on us. As always, I always say, and something that I now live by, is to do your best because your best is enough. And I feel like that really applies to goals. Do your best every single day. And if that's your goal, to do your best, I love it. You guys look forward. I have some really awesome merch coming out soon that will help us keep that mindset of doing our best, because it's something I want to wear and to really drive home the point that I mean, do your best because your best is enough, because you're all incredible. One of my goals, a big one of my goals, is fitness, and something that I've been working on for the last little bit. So next week, make sure you come back. I'm gonna be sharing all about my fitness goals, everything I use to go to the gym and to work out and to create a healthy mind and body for myself. So make sure you guys come back. I love you all so much. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope you guys can set your goals and crush them.